Danny, how you doing?
What the hell's going on over there?
It's LA, so it's always crazy, man.
I know that. I don't know how you do it. You've got a
I
store
don't.
in Los Angeles here on Washington Boulevard, and it is closed.
Yep. So
Closed.
last week, you and I had a list of four on our document, but this particular one I had not been able to see inside. It was closed. The gate was down. Solid gate. No pictures. You gave me an assignment. The assignment was to get with the leasing agent and get access to inside. Be able to confirm that the infrastructure is intact. And I did that. We made an appointment. We met there. He opened it up for me, and I got to walk around, take some pictures.
Yeah, I'm looking at those. The electric is there predominantly, unless they pulled the electricity out of the walls, but they cut all the copper back to the floor.
So yeah, the bulkheads are where the copper got cut, but the 2-inch main is intact, going to the hot water heaters and coming from the hot water heaters. And those hot water heaters look pretty good to me.
Yeah, they're fine. You know, no one takes a hot water heat. It's the same as your house. You don't decide you're going to change it because you look at the tag and it's expired. No one changes a hot water heater until it's dead in the water. You went in there and talked to the guy, and the guy said what? Because they always like to talk.
They do like to talk. So I was trying to be a little hush-lipped and did not want to, disclose anything. But what I did tell him was that I was interested in observing the space and looking to confirm infrastructure. So he starts going in on the story of it's a 20-year-old laundromat that the previous owner put in $1 million to build out. I believe it,
Yeah.
with equipment, that it probably was close to that, if not, 800 or whatever thousand. But they ran into some problems, some health issues. There was a death in the family. They tried to sell it, and
There's the turning point right there every time, isn't it? They spent a bunch of money, they built the store. It's not that they couldn't figure out how to make money or that it wasn't turnkey or absentee or that their $1 million was blown out their ass. It's none of that. It's that somebody got sick. That's why every business fails, right?
well, it does seem consistent with stories we've heard, right? But because they had spent so much money, their investment, I don't think they were making the money to recoup that
Right.
initial investment, you know? And I mean, look at that electrical, which
Yeah.
is all in, it looks beautiful to me.
No,
The
it's
vents are
yeah,
everything.
there's a good with environmental impact fees, you've got probably 600 grand here.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So, the one thing that, I told him, I said, the copper's cut. Gave me the story that the previous tenant left with the machines, but they did leave everything intact. The handyman for the center, so for the shopping center itself, had let somebody into the space. They cut the copper from the bulkheads. He got fired. They didn't press charges, but that's what happened to the copper underneath the 2-inch. And
You're a banker. You know what copper's worth right now.
I've been looking it up. It's definitely an investment
Yeah.
to replace that. Yeah. So it totally makes sense. Why somebody would go in there and cut it out. I'm glad personally they didn't cut out more. Right? They could have kept going and going and going all the way to the wall, but they didn't. I think they were going for the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff, right there at the bulkhead.
Right.
So
They didn't strip the wiring. They didn't go up on the roof, we hope, and beat up the air conditioning units. So here we are. Did he
no,
talk? Did he talk at all about leasing the space to you? What the rate is?
no, and I did not ask. Right. So here's the one thing he asked me. He says, how much do you think it would cost to replace the copper? And I said, we don't do build outs. And I don't know what it would cost, but we carry a large debt service in a space this size, $400,000. I said, I estimate it would be at least $50,000 to replace that copper, and that might be unviable for us.
Smart.
And
you did the right thing.
His response to that was, why don't we can write it up in the lease and throw out some numbers. So I felt like he was already offering TI.
Good. All right. Yeah, but dude, we got to be ready for this because he probably wants, what's the square footage there? Do you know?
30. He estimates 3,200.
Okay. So it's LA. They probably want $34 a square foot, and your rent's going to end up being $7,000 a month. Just be ready for that. Gird your loins. Now we're making the call because we know that it's there. Did you give him my number?
I did not give him your number.
Okay.
But I did tell him, I said, my partner, that I needed to speak to my partner and present, our findings, and that we would be in touch.
Okay, good. Let's hit him up.
Okay, I'll put you on mute.
Stand by.
Hello.
George.
Yes.
George, Danny D'Angelo, you met my partner Josh out at the Laundromat space on Washington. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So I'm sure Josh let you in on probably the partial lowdown. We are in the business. We're interested and intrigued in stores that have infrastructure in place. Many of the non-hostile takeovers we do actually involves existing operators on their last legs, but in this case, they're gone, so that makes it nice. It looks as though you've done your level best to keep the infrastructure intact predominantly, which is good. And look, bottom line, if the rent makes sense, we do 15-year terms, we do long-term, we can do 20. We can stretch it if you want. And the reason being, a massive debt service here, probably close to $500K is what we're looking at, equipment. But we do it right. We try to be different. Obviously your previous tenant, I'm not asking. I can tell by looking at this location that they made some missteps. They built the store from scratch. I don't do that. You're already listening to a better operator because we're ahead of the food chain here. We're ahead of the game. We're not going to be the ones building it, paying environmental impact fees, all that. It sucks. Honestly, it's terrible. People that don't know what they're doing yet try to get involved in any business. If you've been this game any length of time, you know that. You see it happen. I don't want to start a restaurant. I know how to eat, don't know how to run a restaurant. What's
there's most people don't.
Yeah.
Even the ones that think they can.
5% profit is phenomenal. No, thank you. Look, we're not going to make a killing in this store either, not for the first 6 or 7 years, but it does make sense when it makes sense. Bottom line, what's the square footage, do you know, and what's your asking rate?
That's kind of a good question. Well, the square footage is approximately 3,200 and change.
That's what we figured, yeah.
Yeah, and hadn't really priced it. They had told me that they had sold the equipment. I don't know if Josh told you, but the background was that this has been a laundromat for many, many years. That lease to that previous tenant expired, and then one of the family members, their husband was actually the property manager for the family. And he decided that he wanted to redo it and, run it as a business. And so trying to think what the time frame was. It was probably about 4 years ago. It's when they when they turned that thing around, it took them quite a while to build it all out. They spent $1 million altogether with the equipment and everything.
Easy, yeah.
Apparently. And so I'm not exactly sure what happened because he's no longer the property manager. He's not affiliated there. But it was probably about 2.5 months ago. They said, "Hey, we sold all the equipment, and we just wanted you to know that it's going to be available." So the first thing I did was called AutoZone, and AutoZone is looking at it, but I don't know what they're going to do. They haven't really shared that with me, other than they got to do all their spreadsheets and all that shit.
Sure.
So
national chains. That's the golden monkey.
Yeah. Well, it's golden if you can get them to to sit there and let you be the organ grinder.
Yeah. I like your style. Well, look, I can't speak to that, but I can tell you that I'm not looking to hurt anybody's feelings. It's L.A. County. On one side of the spectrum here, there's the old, what the market will bear. And I hope you can put AutoZone in here. I'd hate to see all this infrastructure go away, but it's all scrap. It's all junk. By the way, the boilers they put in there are not commercial boilers. Those are industrial/residential. They cut some corners. They also cut the copper at the floor. So we have to deal with that. Yeah,
what happened, as I told Josh, there was the guy that was kind of he just kind of looked after things there. He'd been there a number of years. And supposedly he let a friend of his in there, and they pulled all the copper out of it.
The old Scooby-Doo caretaker.
Yeah, and so he's no longer with them. And
you meddling kids spoiled my plans. Well, I haven't seen it all, but I have seen that happen. I mean, what's going on right now with the dollar and the Cougaran, and I'm a metals guy, so it's certainly gold, silver, copper, or is it? I don't know. If we're talking Olympics, it's a little different. But copper prices are phenomenally through the roof right now. But it doesn't scare us. I mean, look, our offers start at $12 a square foot in a laundromat, and it's usually insane to try to sign a new lease in LA County. But if we can end up with proper increases and it makes sense for you and you want to lease the space, we can talk terms, because we don't intend to be up where they were. We don't intend to end up, obviously no one does, but it's still a laundromat. We still do half our business on Sunday and we play catch up the rest of the week. Our model is simple. Good service, like everyone, right? McDonald's makes a terrible hamburger and somehow sells billions. I don't get it. For us, we don't have toys. We don't have a drive-through. We don't do the wash, dry, fold, and try to earn there. It's a coin laundry. And it's a great business if you have appropriate rent and you get the infrastructure for free. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can send you a letter of intent, but I don't want it to be ignored. I need to know what your jumping off point is. If AutoZone's going to give you $32 a square foot, then get it.
I don't know where they are. I know that they redid that lease with the landlord a couple of years ago, so it's not too far out of where it ought to be. They indicated they're not going to take anything less than where the other space is. So that process is just kind of getting started. And as I started to tell you, we really haven't sat down and and come up with a price for it. So I would just say shoot me some bullet points, and we'll run it by the landlord.
We look for hefty rent abatement. Every single machine we're trying to put in there is going to take us 18 months to get. Do I have to explain that?
Yeah, just put it all down.
Sure. No, I'm asking you personally. I mean, have you bought a new pickup truck recently? I hope not. I know you filled your tank.
The one I have, the one I have is perfectly good, even though it's old.
Yeah, I like your style. The wife wanted a new refrigerator. Finally decided, okay, put the money aside. We go to Lowe's to buy it. Okay, you can have it next April. What? It's the supply chain. There might be one tiny part that comes from China and they can't do it. That's where we are at. That is where we are at. So at the end of the day, we'll send you a letter of intent and call me. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about how a laundromat is different and why that letter of intent makes perfect sense for us. I'm not trying to hustle you off the phone here, but what you will see from us is a good, strong operator and what we can do and how we can survive. And then hit me back.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put it in front of the guy that makes the decisions.
Thank you, George.
Yeah,
I'm Danny. I will.
Back.
Is this your cell phone?
It is.
Text me your email address.
Kidder.com.
All right, George. I appreciate you. We'll send you something. Give us about 24 hours for the LOI.
Yeah, it's there's no hurry.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. I know what I think, so here's where I ask, what do you think?
I think that went well.
Well, I'm good at this, but here's the thing. When I said $12, he didn't say no.
Right. But he wouldn't give us an amount, which I thought was odd.
It's not odd. It's small time. It's mom and pop. You know, the fact that they let somebody in there and cut the copper out, the fact that that's against the 8 ball, the fact that he told you, it's operating from a position of weakness where you say, well, just give us an offer. We'll see. But when I said $12, it's typically, oh, no, that's not going to happen. He didn't say that.
Right.
He did throw out the typical, we got AutoZone looking. All right, whatever.
Well, AutoZone is directly next door. I think this space, the laundromat, is like a little L. It actually wraps around some of their store.
So he's talking about them expanding into it.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
okay. I didn't know that. They're not going to give them fair market rate if they're expanding. They're just going to use it to store stuff, which is very telling. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, write this for $12. Ask for 14 months of abatement. Have you done an LOI yet? No.
No.
All right. So I'm going to send you an email with the letter of intent. You're not going to send it to them. You're going to send it back to me, and I'm going to proofread it and look at it. And don't be in a hurry. We never send it same day because that makes them think it's some kind of cookie cutter operation, which it isn't. Cater it to him. Use his email address. It's all plug and play stuff. I'll look at it in the morning.
So $12 and 12 months abated?
I'd ask for 12. 14. Ask for 14 months because of current supply chain. Yep. Everything else is in there. You'll see.
Okay. All right.
All right, bro.
Sounds
Don't
good.
lose any sleep.
I won't.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome. Bye. Don't thank me yet. I haven't done anything.
We're getting closer.
Bye. I do it all the time. I do this lease rate in LA, New York, and everywhere in between. All the time. You just have to be able to understand that you're not going to put your fingers on every store, that you're not buying the perfect diamond ring. If you have a budget, don't bring your fiance to the ring store with you. If you want a house with a white picket fence and a negative edge pool, great, buy it. That's not this. This is a business. It needs to earn. Look what happened to the people that spent $1 million. They lost. You won't.